Hey, Shalom Akim Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Hakwadash. Once again, I want to say, call halal Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Hakwadash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth. And as always, I want to give much peace, love, and salutation to the elect of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, that's pushing this word with all truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Tazamah from the Great Millstone Dallas camp, coming back today with another lesson. And Lord willing, the lesson today will be edifying and to the point. And today's lesson is going to be entitled NATO War Games, Steadfast Noon. All right, NATO War Games, Steadfast Noon. And as we know, there's a big, so for lack of better words, there's a confrontation, if you will, that's been going on between NATO, all right, which NATO and the EU is this current beast system that you read about in Revelation 13, all right, Daniel chapter 7, all right, it goes into the feet of iron mixed with miry clay in Daniel 2, all right, Revelation the 17th chapter, okay, this beast system, all right, is NATO and the EU today, and you see a lot of headlines between NATO, Russia, which is Gog and Magog in the scriptures, which, according to prophecy, when you read Revelation, the 20th chapter, it says that Satan would be loosed out of his prison for after the 1,000-year prison sentence, which is when Esau pretty much is out of power, that Satan, which is Esau, okay, he will be loosed from his prison for a little season to deceive the nations and get Gog and Magog and to gather them together for battle, okay? And there's a reason why you're seeing Russia more prevalently in the news today is because prophecy ultimately is coming forth. All right, Yahweh Bashem Al-Shai wrote through the prophet Haggai or through the prophet Habakkuk. Actually, let's actually open up with that. Let's open up with that, actually. He said, at the end it shall speak and not lie. All right, this is Habakkuk chapter 2, start of verse 2. It says, and Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision. All right. And the vision is the prophecies. OK, it says, and make it plain upon tables. All right. And the prophecies are plain, man. All right. As a matter of fact, let me actually grab another precept. This is in the book of Proverbs. I forgot what chapter it is, but let me get it real quick. It says that the way of knowledge is made plain to the godly or something of that nature. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 9. Or start of verse 8. It says, all the words of my mouth are in righteousness, and there is nothing forward or perverse in them. You see, all the prophecies, all the laws, all the statutes, all the commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai are all in righteousness. And you have Israelites, and I'm saying Israelites because it begins with Israelites. All right, because 2/3 of our people are already meant not to get it. All right, but even Israelites that know that they're Israelites will try to say that the ways of the Lord are unfair or they're unrighteous. There's nothing perverse or forward in the ways of the Lord, right? Verse 9, it says, they are all plain to him that understandeth. You see, so the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, the prophecies and things that come, the mandatory implementation of the MOTB, all these things are plain to him that understand. And only understanding is going to be given unto the elect of the nation of Israel. It says, and write to them that find knowledge. You see? So there's not going to be any kind of doctrine that's being pushed that's not going to be right among the elect. No, it's going to be made correct. And it's plain. That's why it says, make the vision, make it plain upon tables. You see? Let's read it again. Habakkuk 2:2. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, because in the ancient world, all right, it'll be, things could be chiseled into tablets. All right. And the tables is being made upon the tables of our mind, right? That he may run that readeth it. And when you get this word run, because it says he that readeth it. Hey, that's why the scripture says, blessed is he that readeth. If you ain't reading, if you're not reading and the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Al-Shai is not guiding you through the scriptures, then you're not going to have any understanding of what the hell is going on. That's why a majority of our people are going to be caught like a thief in the night, man. That word run is rawatazah. Salaki if it's a little windy. I wasn't expecting it to be this windy out here, so Salaki if it is. Habakkuk 2:2, or Watazah, which means to run. As well, it says figurative of reading smoothly. Interesting. So it's a figurative point to read smoothly of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai's word. All right, not you're not going to be rough. It's not going to be a rough. It's not going to be a rough transition. Everything's going to be smooth to him that understands. All right. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. You see, and we're in that appointed time. It's for a time that's appointed. You see, the Lord, as Scripture says in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, that there's a time and a season for everything under the sun. So it's yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. You see, and it's clearly proven that we are at the end. The Scripture says that the end is going to be made manifest. So it says, at the end it shall speak and not lie. You see, and we're at the time right now where, it's not lying. It's not a game, man. People think that World War III is a game. They remember when General Soleimani, that Iranian general, they got blown up, in a sabotage, for lack of better words. There was all these World War III memes that was going on Instagram and Facebook and, these social media platforms. You see, people think that everything's just a joke in the game. But here it is, very, very soon. World War III is going to be right at the footsteps of America, Babylon the Great. It says, though it tarry, right? Though it seems like it's taking a long time, wait for it. Because it will surely come, it will not tarry, you see? So we're at the time where these prophecies are hitting. And they're hitting harder and harder each day. Whereas they can't neglect it. They can't sit here and say that, this is going to be something that's going to pass. No. And the Scripture says the word of the Lord doesn't go out void. Okay. Now, when I was reading this article earlier, it prompted precepts to come to my mind, and we'll get to it. So it says NATO kicks off nuclear war games on Monday. You see, and it's all spiritual while they're kicking off nuclear war games. Because that's what's coming. Nuclear destruction, thermonuclear destruction is what's coming to this place. Whether people like it or not, whether people want to accept it or not, it's written in the scriptures to come. So it says NATO kicks off nuclear war games on Monday. And this is on Monday, October 17th. And it's the 18th now, right? It says the North Atlantic Treaty Organization has begun its annual military drills and preparations for nuclear war on Monday. And the scripture says that the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. So he's putting in the minds of these generals and these officials to do these war games, and specifically nuclear war games. Why do you think Joe Biden, the Biden administration, has ordered millions of dollars worth, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of radiation sickness pills? You see, as if that's going to stop anything, as if that's going to, as if the masses of people in America, when all hell breaks loose, going to make it, because they know what's coming. War is coming. American B-52 bombers will be joined by advanced aircraft from other alliance members as they simulate a war of annihilation with Russia. So specifically, it's with Russia. You got to ask yourself why. Well, I quoted it in Revelation, the 20th chapter. And for newcomers that may not know, I'm just going to pull it all. I'm going to pull it so you can see for yourself. All right, Revelation chapter 20. I'm going to get down to the point. Verse 7. And when 1,000 years are expired, which that 1,000-year period is roughly from around 325 AD to the late 1300s to early 1400s, when the Renaissance period began to commence, and they began iconoclasm. Esau began to rise back up in the earth. Christopher Columbus came to the Americas, all right, and they began to dominate again, right? Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. And I got another lesson queued up, Lord's will, that I'll do later on today, going into the fact of how Saudi Arabia, pretty much America, has cut ties was sending weaponry to Saudi Arabia, which is an OPEC country. Which OPEC is short for Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, which there's deals that America has with Saudi Arabia to the fact whereas if they sell their oil in the United States dollar, that America will supply Saudi Arabia with weapons. But now since OPEC wants to cut its oil production, America wants to stop sending weaponry to Saudi Arabia, as well as particular weaponry that's already there, and transferring those over to Ukraine. So that's going to just cause more turmoil and confrontation from these other different nations against the whore, which is America, right? So when you read in verse 8, we'll start back up again. Hey, what's going on? It says, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, which is Russia. Okay, when you look at an ancient map, when you see where the land of Gog and Magog is, it's in the land where Russia resides, in those particular territories, which Ukraine used to be a part of Russia. The USSR, I'd rather say. To gather them together to battle. That's war. The number of whom is as the sand of the sea. That's why you've been hearing more and more in the news the word Armageddon popping up. Armageddon this, Armageddon that. Hell, Russia has a general whose nickname is General Armageddon. So come on, man. If the Lord doesn't have to make it more plain upon tables and more clear, then it's just not meant for you to see it. Okay? So, it says the war games dubbed Steadfast Noon. Now, when I seen Steadfast Noon, I immediately thought of one precept, but I went to the blue letter and I typed in the word noon or noonday. So it's called Steadfast Noon. It's lucky for this loud ass truck, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to. It's funny. I seen 666 on the license plate in front of me, and then all of a sudden all this noise start coming. Anyways, it is what it is. But it says the war games dubbed Steadfast Noon, right, are scheduled to run through the end of October. Now, why would you think it's called Steadfast Noon, right? Let's get a couple precepts here. Let's get the book of Job. Let's get the book of Job, the 5th chapter, verse 14. Let's start at verse 12, all right? So this is the book of Job, chapter 5, verse 12. It says, he disappointeth the devices of the crafty. All right, and the devices of the crafty goes into the crafty devices that Esau plans to put out to try to thwart the prophecies of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. It says he disappointeth the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. And ultimately their enterprise is to cut off the nation of Israel from being a people and to CHIP everybody. So the fact that whereas they have everybody as a perpetual slave, that's their ultimate device, right? He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And this is talking about the Lord. You see, the scripture says in Jeremiah 49 how that the wisdom of Teman is failing. You see, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. You see, the particular counsels, the particular deals that they have. You see, all that stuff is going to be carried, and it's going to be carried forward headlong, which headlong means to pretty much go head first. And if you fall from head first from a mountain or from a building, it's a very, 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 very slim possibility that you're going to make it, right? It says, verse 14, they meet with darkness in the daytime, which we're in the daytime right now. Technically, the daytime represents a time where the light is here. So they meet in darkness. They have these different secret councils and secret societies. You see all these different councils that they have, the Council of Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg meetings. You see as they say, the Illuminati. You see all these different councils that they have in darkness, right? They meet with darkness in the daytime and grope in the noonday as in the night. You see, and to grope means to feel around. When you groping, you're feeling for something. So it says, and noonday is high noon, when the sun is at its highest point, is at noonday, which is when it's the brightest, right? They meet with darkness in the daytime and grope in the noonday as in the night. So when they feel like they're about to fulfill their enterprise, that's when the Lord is going to completely thwart their processes. The Lord is going to completely thwart their ambitions, for lack of better words. You see, that's why in verse 15 it says, but he saveth the poor from the sword, which the poor goes into the elect of the nation of Israel, the meek. Okay, let's get that word poor real quick. That word poor is Abayawan or Abiyawan. Okay, the fatherless. Okay, cared for by the Most High. And who's the ones that are cared for by the Lord? Who's the ones that's cared for by Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai? It's the elect of the nation of Israel. Not everybody. The Lord doesn't care about 2/3. Now, 2/3 are going to come back and be in the right state of mind. But on this go around, the Lord is only he's only caring for his elect of the nation of Israel. Point blank, period. Okay. So it says, let's read verse 15 again. It says, but he saveth the poor from the sword, which the sword is the missiles. All right, destruction. You see, the turmoil is going to come from their mouth. You see, and their mouth goes into their, like it says in Psalm 52, their tongue is as sharp razors. You see, as deceit. You see, when it comes to them trying to stop the word of the Lord from going forth, there are different laws and decrees that they're going to set forth to try to stop the men of the Lord, right? And from the hand of the mighty, you see, because the Lord going to put the spirit upon Esau to come down with great wrath. But it says they're going to grope at noonday. Okay, let's get a couple more. All right. And like I said, these are just precepts that came to my mind as I read it. Psalm 91, verse 6, start at verse 5. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night. Because great terror is going to hit these streets, man. A lot of terror is about to hit this place. And it's all going to come by way of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai putting the spirit upon these devils to do what they're going to do. It says, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. What's that arrow that flieth by day? The arrow that flieth by day is talking about the missiles, man. You see, because the Lord he's going to keep us protected in that time, man. When those arrows, when those missiles begin to fly, all right, what's going to happen is that who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, which his name is Yahushua, is going to come and deliver his elect. We're going to be beamed up into chariots, man. Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, which the pestilence that walketh in darkness are these different diseases, these different biological warfare diseases that Esau's putting out, which I ain't finna say the names on camera because I don't want them to cut my video, but y'all already know, and there's going to be more to come. Nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. You see that at noonday, right? Nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday, and that's talking about the missiles. Point blank, period. That's talking about the thermonuclear destruction, man. Okay. This is Amos chapter 8, verse 8. It says, shall not the land tremble for this, and everyone that mourn that dwelleth therein? It says, and it shall rise up holy as a flood, and it shall be cast out and drowned as by the flood of Egypt. Okay, because there's going to be great destruction that's going to come upon this place, which today, the place that we live in here in America, is the modern day Egypt. It is everything all over again. How you doing, man? This is verse 9. And Salak, if it's a little bit loud, I'm just by the street now. It says, then it shall come to pass in that day, say the Lord Yahweh, that I will cause the sun to go down at noon. All right, the sun represents the wisdom and knowledge, all right, of this world. That's why the scriptures talk about how pretty much that the light of the wicked shall be put out. That I will cause the sun to go down at noon, and I will darken the earth in the clear day. In a way that the earth is going to be darkened, which the land that we're going to be in is going to be by way of thermonuclear destruction, all right? That mushroom cloud being lifted up into the air, all right? It's going to literally darken out the sun, right? And I will turn your feast into mourning, and all your songs into lamentation. All the way of this world and the way how this society works is all the Lord going to completely destroy it. He's going to completely take it out. This Western way is going to be completely gone, right? And I will bring up sackcloth upon all loins, which sackcloth represents mourning, and baldness upon every head, which is mourning. And I will make it as the mourning of an only son, and the end thereof as a bitter day. So, and what does not America go back to the word? Does not America mean bitter? You see? So America is its own name is an omen nomen, and it's going to go out very bitterly. Okay, due to all the atrocities that this place, all the atrocities that this place has brought, especially upon the apple of Yahweh Bashem Al Shazai, which are the Israelites. All right, this is Ecclesiasticus 34, verse 15. Blessed is the Lord of him. Blessed is the soul of him that feareth the Lord, and the fear of Yahweh Bashem Al Shah is the key. That's the key to everything, is the fear of the Lord, man. All right, it says, to whom doth he look? For who is his strength? And our strength comes from Yahweh Bashem Al Shah. We look to the Lord whenever all hell's going to break loose. We look to Yahweh Bashem Al Shah for protection. It says, for the eyes of the Lord are upon them that love him. He is their mighty protection and strong stay. And you got camps that are teaching that the name of the Lord don't matter, that we don't know the name of the Lord, and to hell with all you niggas. All right? Because you're going to see how important the name of the Lord is in that time. It says, he is their mighty protection and strong stay, a defense from heat. What heat represents tribulation, and a cover from the sun at noon. There it is again, and a cover from the sun at noon. Like I said, high noon represents the highest part of the sun, where it's the hottest too. It says a preservation from stumbling and an help from falling. See, because a lot of people are going to fall, and a lot of people's minds are going to fail in that day, man. You see? So spiritual, how the Lord had these officials call this NATO war drill Steadfast Noon. It says Belgium is hosting the exercises which will take place over the North Sea in the United Kingdom. Some American aircraft will take off from bases in North Dakota. It says, according to a NATO press release, exercise Steadfast Noon involves 14 countries, right? And up to 60. I'm gonna use this as the thumbnail. 14 countries, up to 60 aircraft of various types, including 4th and 5th generation fighter jets, as well as surveillance and tanker aircraft. So, hey, the Lord is going to be the Lord is going to pretty much bring forth all the arsenal. As in previous years, US B-52 long-range bombers will take part. It added, as long as nuclear weapons exist, NATO will remain a nuclear alliance. Let's read that again. As long as nuclear weapons exist, which the nuclear weapons are existing due to the fact of the Lord creating the smith that blowed the coals in the fire, NATO will remain a nuclear alliance because the Lord created NATO. The Lord is the one that set up the beast. You see? The Lord is the one that created these nuclear weapons to be used. All right, and it's all going to be for his purpose at the end of the day. This year's nuclear drills come as tensions between NATO and Moscow are at a multi-decade high. You see? And it's the Lord of, it's Yahweh Bashem Al Shah of hosts. The scripture says in Exodus 15 that he's a man of war. It says that it's at a decade high. All right, this is Exodus 15:3. Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. You see that? So he's a man of war. So he's the one orchestrating all these different war games. You see? That's why he's called the Lord of hosts. Okay? Moscow has accused the alliance of waging war against Russia in Ukraine. Washington has led its allies in providing Kiev with tens of billions in weapons, as well as intelligence and training to kill Russian soldiers. You see? And this is all just going to be more fuel for the fire at the end of the day when it's all said and done, right? It says NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg stated it would send the wrong signal to cancel the war games. It would send a very wrong signal if we suddenly now cancel the routine, long-time planned exercise because of the war in Ukraine. That would be absolutely the wrong signal to send, and it will be a signal of weakness. So they're like, no, we can't stop. You know what I'm saying? We can't stop these different war games that we got planned. Okay? Stoltenberg argued that going through with nuclear war games is the best way to prevent a nuclear war. But it's not going to prevent anything. You know, why would you have a nuclear war game if you're not going to be expected to eventually be in that particular scenario situation? You see, that's why the scripture says that the Lord is going to put an evil thought in their mind. Okay? NATO's firm predictable behavior, our military strength is the best way to prevent escalation, because NATO has for years been the hammer of the earth, man. For years, NATO's been the hammer of the earth, going through these different nations, completely pummeling them with their war, with their military, with bombs, you see, to keep all the world quiet. Okay? That's why the scripture says, what's that in Isaiah the 14th chapter? Who smote the nations with a continual stroke. Let me see if I can, let me type in continue. I know it's in Isaiah 14. Continual stroke. Yep. Isaiah 14 verse 6. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke goes into Esau, right? He that ruled the nations in anger, which you rule the nations in anger by way of your military, right? Your weaponry, your laws, your decrees, is persecuted and none hindereth. You see, so now you're going to be persecuted. You did all the persecuting, so now you're going to be persecuted. Isaiah 33:1 goes into that. Okay, so going back, it says, he continued, if we now created the grounds for any misunderstandings, miscalculations in Moscow about our willingness to protect and defend all allies, we will increase the risk of escalation. Which the increased risk of escalation is just going to continue, because Gog and Magog, which is Russia and the beast, NATO and the EU, America being the whore, is all prophesied in war to go head to head, and then eventually those different 10 horns that they're going to hate the whore, and America's going to be completely isolated, man. So I just want to do this lesson because, like I said, I read it and precepts came to my mind. You know, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to the elect of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles and others of great millstone, and much peace, love, and salutation to the elect. Shalom.